G'day, Flosstube. It's Saturday, excuse me, May 9, week 2 of Maynia. I hope everyone's Maynia is going awesomely. I'm quite enjoying my first attempt at Maynia. For anybody who's just tuning in for the first time, my take on Maynia is working on all my chatelaine mandalas. So I have started Tinctorium. Just today, you're going to see that my new start on the Hawaiian mandala, and fingers crossed before the end of the month we will get the chart for the Tahiti, and I will be able to start that one as well. But that one's a bit of an iffy situation given the current state of affairs. I haven't even heard that any of that has ready to ship. That's made it into Australia and whatnot yet. So, I don't know. We shall see. It is what it is. Excuse me. So, I think I've mentioned in my last video that the intention was to go island hopping today. But we woke up this morning and it was pouring rain. It is the middle of the dry season. We should have sun and lovely weather, and like weather never factors into what we're going to do for the weekend because it's just perfect every day. So when it was raining, we're like, oh, well, nobody wants to go to the island when it's raining. So we're going to put island hopping off for next week. So instead, I've started the Hawaiian mandala. So I'm going to do this in the same vlog style all through Maynia. So you'll get a daily view of the progress I make. This week will be predominantly the Hawaiian mandala as we go through the week. However, having said that, I do have Tinctorium to show you my final endpoint for last week and minimal progress on one other whip. So let's get those other things started. Yesterday was, that's the way it goes around. Yesterday was Friday. So I go down to the local community center and flip burgers. It's been really quiet lately, so I've been taking my stitching. And yesterday was no exception. I did manage to get probably 100 stitches or whatever up that column in Aura of Autumn. I did not bring the chart that this, or the picture of what this is going to look like, but if you've watched me before, you've seen this. It's a oil painting by Leonid Afremov called Aura of Autumn, and this is the park bench panel. So just 100 stitches or so in the blue. There is acres of really light blue in this column, so it's very easy to pick up and put down around other obligations. So yeah, minor progress, nothing stellar, but it'll probably won't come out until next week when I have to go to the community center. Tinctorium. So this is, I'm pretty sure this has been in exactly a week that I've been working on this. I started it last Saturday, and I put a few stitches in this morning just to try and finish up a couple of motifs before I started the Hawaiian. Get my board. So that's what she looks like at the end of week 1. You can see I finally made a decision. I pulled out all the dark green and replaced it with the light green. So there's all 4 leaf petal things around that center diamond. I also basically finished out that edging border, now goes all the way around. I did finish, after I filmed last, these 2 little hedgehogs down the bottom. They are totally finished with the exception of their back stitching, and there's like 4 full cross of black in each of them, which I will do at the same time I do the back stitching for them. So I'm considering those 2 hedgehogs are fully complete. This little hedgehog, I still haven't put back what I had to rip out, but he's probably 3/4 complete at this point too. So I'm pretty pleased to have, 2 that are done, 1 that's nearly done, as my progress to put it away. This little bunny, it did get another thread just to use up one of the other ones I had, but clearly bunnies have not been the focus. And I think, yeah, just see down here, I started to put in some of the scroll work that goes along the edge, but I basically just used up one of the flosses, one of the strands that I'd cut for something else. It doesn't show very well on this light purple. I think it's one of those elements that if you've done this, I see a lot of people do tinctorium on black, and that would stand out a lot more on a black, being silver. It is visible in person, so I think I'll leave it. But I could definitely see where you might consider replacing that with something that's a little bit more obvious. Oh, and each of these mandalas has a few more stitches in them, those little medallions. In fact, you can just see right around that center circle, there's 4 turquoise stitches. Now, if you watched last week's video, you'll know I was having dramas with the dinky dye pearl silks that I bought. They were meant to be the 600D, and I had inadvertently bought 1000D in several of the colors I needed. That turquoise is one of them, that's 1000. So I thought for the purposes of a cross stitch, yeah, it's a bit thicker than the other cross stitches, but I didn't think it was too bad actually. I thought I'm a bit lucky I'll get away with that in that sort of scenario. Whereas the one that I had bought that was like a 1900, yeah, you weren't getting away with that, period. So I'm pleased. I will use those 1000Ds in lieu of the 600 anywhere I can. They do give a really nice shine. That outer border is the one that was color I'd bought the 1900. And so obviously that outer border should have all had that nice shine, and replacing it with DMC, it's not going to get that. From memory, that was DMC 733 that I replaced it with. I am keeping notes, so eventually I'll get organized and put all my notes on what I subbed and whatnot. Because this is my second mandala, partly I have a better idea. Some of the dinky dyes that were called for, I knew they were more or less solid color and thought, well, I'll just replace those for DMC. No point spending the money when there's no variegation. And partly, I guess, I'm just getting a bit braver and knowing what I can get away with without mucking up the whole design. So, yeah, I'm going to put that away, excuse me, now for the week. It'll probably come back out again next week after I do a week on the Hawaiian mandala. Having said that, if by some miracle Tahiti does show up, it'll go behind Tahiti. Okay, so then the new start for today. Doesn't look like much yet. It's very early days. Oh, and that, should have said both of these mandalas are done on a 28 count cast shell that I've dyed myself for the purposes of this project. So that is my start on the Hawaiian mandala, which unfortunately those colors in the middle are so light you can hardly see them on this fabric. It will get filled in with a lot of blues, so you won't have any trouble seeing it by the time the piece is complete. However, just at the moment, they're not super obvious where I've been stitching. This piece I have part of the supplies, so I have all of the treasure braids and stuff. I have all of the water lilies. I don't have any of the Glorianas that go in, and I thought I had all the DMCs, but turns out there's a few that are in that order waiting on the Tahiti chart. So my husband and daughter are off to the big box store. See if I can get that up closer for you. See whether or not they can pick up a few more skeins of DMC for me so that I can fill in some more of the DMC stuff. This chart did call for NPI solid silks. Again, I really like the variegation. And, you know, I will spend the extra money on the variegated silks, but I don't see a great deal of benefit to spending the extra money on solid silks. So I've swapped those all out for DMC. These things are expensive enough that if you can swap a few things out, it's better. So yeah, I'm going to continue working around that light blue. He's going all four. And then I basically will have to pick and choose which elements I have the threads for and work out if they come back from the store with the right DMCs. I'll be able to fill in a lot more around that that diamond. But at the moment, we're just picking and choosing and going for it. And, you know, if nothing else, I'll be in town on Monday. So, all good. I hope everyone's having an awesome Maynia. I will see you all tomorrow. G'day, Flosstube. It's Monday, May 11th. I missed filming yesterday because we went out to the island for a day trip anyway. So there's a fair bit of progress since you've last seen this. Hold on, I should have been organized and had this ready to go, shouldn't I? Oh, good. Look at that. That's so much progress. I think last you saw it, I hadn't, and maybe just started some of those swirls in that inner medallion. So all of those blue colors that are in there now, they are charted for the NPI solid silk colors. I have changed them out for the DMC. And they are stunning colors in person in the DMC. I have zero regrets about not doing the silks. They look gorgeous. So at the moment, currently working through the light blue color up there on all four sides, and there's acres of that color to go in. So I would not be surprised if that's all you see tomorrow. It's more of that blue. You can start to see some little berry shape motifs that are going in. I think I'm missing several of the colors in some of these motifs, so they may be empty for a little bit yet. I think with this project, it's just the Glorianas that I don't have. But I'd have to double check that. The Glorianas seem to be a big stumbling block at the moment, getting my hands on them. I think I have most other things covered, with the exception of there's still been a couple of DMCs I still cannot get at Spotlight, but not big bickies. So that is super awesome progress, but probably about, see, I think I even filmed early on Saturday, so that's probably a good 48 hours worth of stitching. Quite a bit of stitching. But now we're in the work week and we won't be able to stitch anything like that amount. In fact, I think it's after 6 o'clock and I've only just got home. So, all good. I feel like there was something else I was going to tell you. I have no idea what it was. See, this is why doing the vlog thing might come in handy, because if I remember, I'll tell you tomorrow. Okay? Talk to you then. Bye. Figures. As soon as I turn off the camera, I remember what I was going to tell you. Now, I'm sure I just said that I didn't film yesterday because we were out on the island. We own an empty block out on the local island. No house. There's a storage lawn locker type thing. We can lock a bit of stuff in. But we haven't owned it that long. The only stuff out there is a bit of camping gear. So it will be very much a glamping sort of holiday place for the family. But the block hasn't had a lot of attention in the past. And so part of the getting ready to enjoy it is a bit of cleanup. So we went over there just for a day trip. My husband was doing cleanup. I was sitting stitching when I wasn't helping him. I'll put a photo of my camping stitching setup. It's quite a lovely day. Anyway, but during the process of this, he decided he wanted to light a fire. You can see in that photo, there's acres of like pandanus palms that just laying on the ground, and it's drying out. Fire season, won't be that far away. So thought we should get rid of them. And so he lights a fire, and I thought I was set up far enough away from where he had that fire going. And I was stitching, enjoying a nice afternoon while he was just putzing with the fire. Was very careful. I was not in the smoke at all. But I got home, and took out the chatelaine, and I smell it a bit. And I'm like, ooh, that smells a bit like smoke. So I gave it to one of my kids. And I said, oh, does that smell to you? And they're like, it smells like campfire. And clearly, one should not be on the same block as somebody cleaning the yard and burning off all the things with your stitching. So fortunately, all of that stuff we just discussed is DMC. The only bit of fancy floss is in the very center. There's a handful of very light colored stitches that hardly show up currently against the cream background. The rest of this is DMC. And so I thought I washed it, figuring that, it was pretty safe to wash at this point. It was DMC, it wouldn't run, but fingers crossed, and I got away with it. But if you're out by the campfire, don't bring a chatelaine. Even if you're on the other side of the block where the campfire is burning, don't bring the chatelaine. So probably not my smartest move, but I got away with it. Now I'll see you tomorrow, Tuesday. See you then. Bye. Today, Flosstube. It's Tuesday, May 12th. Still working on the Hawaiian Mandala. Pop it up here. I've done, I think when I last showed you, I'd started those very large light blue infills. Completed 2 of them, and then I essentially got so sick of that light blue color I had to do something else. So I've gone in here. Can you see? The dark metallics in there, and there is a silver metallic in each of those wavy things. Well, you can kind of see it. Anyway, it looks so cool in person. Have no idea what those wavy sort of shapes are meant to be, but the remaining empty spaces in there are all dark blue beads, I believe. All beads of some color. I think they're dark blue. So tonight, guess what? We're doing more light blue. I don't know if I'll finish both of them, but hoping to get pretty close. And it's a bit earlier tonight, so hopefully I can get an extra couple hours of stitching in. So I'll leave that there and talk to you tomorrow. Bye. G'day, Flosstube. It is Wednesday, May 13th, maybe? It's a teen in May. We'll call it good. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm still working on the Hawaiian Mandala. So, excuse me. I finished all those, I'm sure we were talking about those light sections as acres of stitches in those light sections in the middle. I did manage to fill in all 4 of those. Had a little bit more to use up in that corner. And then basically the only other thing I accomplished last night was to put the dark thread in the center of those berry shapes. I'm not entirely sure what those are meant to be. At the moment they look a bit like strawberries, but they're yellow and they'd be very unripe strawberries if that's what they are. So yeah, it's funny to watch, you know, the little patterns or whatever that make sense in your head when you're stitching, but really have nothing to do with the pattern. So yeah, thinking today I'll go back in and finish the metallic in the other sections. There's quite a bit of that dark turquoise metallic to go in through here and stuff. So I think I'll focus on doing those metallics to finish out those center bits and then keep working out on what's next. I'm not very far off getting to the black border that goes all the way around this motif. So I'd like to get enough of that done before I put this down at the end of the week that I can at least frame out those rectangles where I'm going to stitch Castle Hill instead of the charted volcanoes. I have had a look at the pattern, so I'll put a picture in, a close-up of the volcano sections. Essentially it's, you know, hill with lava flowing down it against a dark blue night background, and the chart has like a big specialty stitch and beaded area, which is meant to look like the eruption of the volcano. I'm thinking to keep all of that, except that I'll change the color so it's not red like in an eruption, and aim for something that's more clear, so it looks a bit more like maybe a moon and stars rather than an eruption, to keep that sparkly effect in there without having to rechart it. The background being that dark night sky blue, I will probably keep the same, and so I will essentially just aim to swap out the charted volcano hill with my own hill of red tones, maybe a few greens, because there's, you know, bush growing up the side of Castle Hill. So it kind of depends. I'll have a look at the colors in the red and the lava and see if I can make any of those the rusty red of the hill and see how that works. That's the plan anyway. But anyway, I figure if I can get that triangle framed out, I can try and make sure, excluding night sky, excluding all those stars and whatnot, that my hill more or less fits the same as the hill of the volcano. Yeah, we'll see how we go. It's an experiment. And because I'm experimenting and I might be getting slightly cocky, this also has red hibiscus flowers all around it. And I'm looking at that going, I like frangipanis better. So I think I might try and swap the hibiscus out for a frangipani. But my dilemma with those is that the hibiscus, being a nice bright red, is against a very light colored background. The traditional frangipani is white with the yellow. I was thinking about doing the pink frangipani with the yellow, but then I don't know how that'll go with a very primary reds, blues. So I might have to swap the background to something a tad darker around the hibiscus / frangipani so that the white frangipani has some contrast. I don't know. This is going to be absolutely crazy. Why take a perfectly lovely, gorgeous pattern and try and change it up? Because I can. And yeah, we shall see. Wish me luck. All right. See you tomorrow, guys. Today, Flosstube. It is Thursday, May 14th. I just looked. I swear. I sat here in front of the camera with it not going, oh, I need to double check that. In one ear, out the other. Oh, good. It is May 14th. I'm sure. Guess what I've been working on? Anybody notice the pattern yet? Actually, I did not so much last night, but my stitching day started at 3:30 this morning because my brain decided that was the logical time to try and puzzle out some work-related problems. I assume other people have this issue, but in the middle of the night, sometimes my brain talks to me and it will not shut up, no matter how much I tell it to shut up. It does not matter, go to bed. It was one of those days. So it was a very long morning. I basically stitched from about 3:30 till the alarm went off at 6. Then started laying into the coffee and head to work. So long day already. But I made some reasonable progress because of it. I'm a bit glary today. So where was I last update? You'd think I could remember 24 hours ago. I put in all the silver metallic and the turquoise metallic in the center motifs this morning, and I started to put in the metallic in around here, and there's, I think, the green metallic down here I put in this morning. So I did largely metallic. The exception is you can now start to see there's a little row of stitches that are much more obvious in person. They look like they're blending in here, but they're not. It'll be just fine. But that kind of shows you the outline of where that motif will finish. So I will probably, like I was debating, I really wanted to get the frame for some of those volcano / Castle Hill spots outlined so that I could start really thinking about how I was going to tackle that poem. But I'm also tempted just to fill in this and leave the frame for next time. So I don't know. We shall basically see what I do tonight, and you'll be as surprised as I am. It's funny, like I think I said last night how these shapes, they have been making me think of like strawberries. Well, now we have sea turtles down in this one, and some really strange hornet cross ram sort of thing going on here. So I reckon our cross stitch projects are like those ink spots, you know, the psychiatrists or whatever use. Anything you can make work works. I wonder what it tells me about my mental state when I see these shapes in my stitching. The randomness that goes through your head as you're spending hours looking at these things. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'm going to be a bit sad to put it away. I think tomorrow will be my last day on this mandala, and I will trade back to Tinctorium on Saturday. Saturday follows Friday, guys. Yeah, so again, we're going to try and do the whole island thing. I'm not stitching near the campfire this time. So that may interfere with my stitching plans for Tinctorium a bit, just in terms of how much time I get. But it's only an overnight trip, so it shouldn't be too bad. Anyway, so yep, I think that's it. One more day on this, and we'll switch it up again. See you tomorrow. Bye. Hey, Flosstube. It is Saturday, May 16th. I meant to film this last segment for the week yesterday, but, you know, life got in the way. I did start editing all the previous segments for the week, and I just have to apologize, guys. The amount of coughing and carrying on I have been doing in these last week is like I just get used to it and tune it out and ignore it, but it makes for some rough video watching. So if you stuck with me this long, I appreciate the tolerance. On a side note, I did attempt to go to the doctor's because this cough has been coming and going for 5 years or more. But to try and deal with it at the moment, freaking everybody looks at me and goes, COVID! I don't think it's COVID. Anyway, but I have to have a test. I'll go in for a test today because the test they really want to do, they can't do until they get a negative COVID test. So we'll all know in, I don't know, what does it take, a few days for the results? A few hours now? I don't even pay attention. Anyway, back to what we're after. Last update on the Hawaiian mandala. You can clearly see I didn't go for that black frame, and the outlines of where the volcanoes are. We'll have to save that for next one. I have done all the so dark turquoise metallic around these ram horn shapes. Excuse me, there we go again. And I'm starting to work that lightest bit of border, which will put a bit of a point on. I'm about one thread short to get the rest of the way around on the second lightest blue. And then there's literally like a 1 pixel of the lightest blue around the whole lot. So that's where I'm going to leave it for the week. Yeah, it's nice seeing how fast these come together when you put deliberate, dedicated effort into only one piece. Having said that, because these are mandalas, and as you work out, the area gets 4 times as large, for each kind of ring around the design. What looks like progress slows abruptly. But still, that's amazing. I love that. So, still no word on Tahiti, other than the fact that nothing is moving into the country from the States. So, my guess is my chart is sitting in customs or something somewhere. So, we will go to Tinctorium. And other than that, have a good week, and I will see you next week. Bye.